Hello, I'm Scott Bogey here with your UFC fighter, Julien LeBlanc, ahead of his upcoming fight against Robert Valentine. How are you doing today?
I'm very good, thanks. And you?
I'm doing good. And how are you feeling ahead of making your UFC debut?
I'm feeling very good. I'm super excited. I cannot wait to really go in there and compete and show the UFC and show the world what I'm all about. So pretty excited for next week. Yeah.
And how good is it to be able to make that debut in your home nation? How good is it to have that comfort?
It's really cool, honestly. Like being in the UFC is a dream come true, but
Yeah.
it's like having the chance to do my debut in my home country is like the cherry on top, right? So I cannot be more grateful and more excited for it.
And it seems now that the UFC is starting to give the Canadian fans the UFC experience. They now come over to Canada multiple times a year for pay-per-views, for fight nights. Just how good has that been for the just not only the fans but the fighters being able to experience that?
I think it's honestly it's good because we have good prospect in Canada.
Yeah,
We have good gyms. We have good coaches. And for long, how can I say? So it's like MMA in Canada has been for long seen like
yeah,
barbaric, and it's not like even in Quebec they don't even consider it as a sport. And we had George St. Pierre as a world champion, right? And he's such a nice guy, and he did a lot of good things, right? So, anyways. So I think that the more UFC comes, the better it's gonna get for the sport, for the fighters, for the fans, for the coaches, for the gyms here. The sport is growing so fast every year. Kids start to practice MMA at like 3, 4 years old, 5 years old. So I just think that when the UFC gives us the chance to, showcase our skills and showcase ourselves and Canadian cards, it just gives hope to the young fighters, and I think it's very very good for the sport and for Canadian MMA fans and fighters. Yeah,
and you have got a lot of regional shows now that are coming through the ranks, like Samurai, Unified, BFL, just to name a few. How good has it been to have not only just one show that's been prominent, but to have a multiple varied shows that you guys have the option to go to?
I think it's good, and like I think those promotions should even work together even
Yeah,
more because unfortunately, on the regional scene, it's like some promotion, and I'm not naming no names. I mean,
yeah,
they all do their things at their own, and I was able to fight, for Unified, for Samurai in the past 5 years. I had great experience with both. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's like they're sometimes scared to share fighters, or I don't know, they want to keep fighters for themselves. But we got to be realistic. Like they don't do shows every month,
yeah.
so I think the regional scene should work even more together to get some nice fights, good fights for the fans, for the fighters, and build up the fighters the right way, but together, instead of just like I want you to sign with me for five fights, but then they only do 3 shows a year, and if you don't get on all those 3 shows, you're just gonna do your 5 fights in 3 4 years. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I do believe that we have amazing promotions, and yes, Samurai, Unified, they're both great. We have BFL also, that's a good promotion. But I just do believe that they should work even more together, towards the fighters and not like be against each other. That's my take. But at the end of the day, I'm not the boss, so I'm not in their shoes. I know it's hard to organize a professional show on the regional scene. It demands a lot of energy, a lot of money, but they're doing the right thing, and they're doing great shows for a regional scene. So grateful that I had the chance to fight for them.
And how would you rate your year last year? 'Cause obviously, it did allow you to get into the UFC. You started off the year fantastic, third round stoppage. You won the belt. How good of a feeling was that?
Oh, it was amazing. Winning a regional scene belt, professional belt, was something I wanted for long. And also being against a UFC vet
Yeah,
was even better for me. So for sure, like, I think it started there that I was like, okay, I'm maybe closer than I thought from the UFC. And then, I went on and won another fight, and here I am. So for sure, winning that belt I think it was the start of it.
And do you feel like being able to defeat someone like Darian Weeks, it wasn't just the belt that was important for you, but it proved to you that, hey, I can stand with these UFC guys. I've been just stood in there against someone who was in the UFC, and not only did I get the win, I got the finish as well.
Yeah, for sure. I was really stressed before this fight because it was like, okay, it's my biggest test as of right now. It's my biggest challenge, right? But I started the fight a little bit slow. It was just because of the stress, but once I got my rhythm and and then I saw that I was like, okay, this guy's not better than me. Then I started to really let myself go, and that's when I got the finish. So for sure, it gave me a lot of confidence to fight him, and I know for a fact that I'm ready for the UFC level.
And then come November, you were back in that cage. Like you had to overcome a different obstacle in an opponent change. How much did that kind of affect your preparation?
Hey, for honestly, me, like if you look at my topology, I had so many cancellations, so many
Yeah,
opponent change. One time the opponent changed the day of the weigh-in, so I'm used to it, right? So it was unfortunate, but at the end of the day, I still got to fight, still got to win, and I still now I'm in the UFC, so I think that
yeah.
everything happens for a reason, and it's unfortunate for sure, and yes, it's an extra stress. But look, it happens, and when it happens, you just gotta roll with the punches and deal with it, and you gotta overcome this adversity and just show up, fight, and at the end of the day, regardless who's in front of you, it's an MMA fight, so everyone's good, and especially at the UFC level, everyone is good. Everyone knows how to grapple. Everyone knows how to wrestle, to punch, to kick, elbow, knees. So you gotta be prepared for everything. That's for sure.
And coming into the fight, what do you feel like has been your greatest strength over your opponent? Obviously, you're not going to give out your whole game plan here, but what do you think the biggest strength is?
I think my striking will match well against him, and I've worked hard on every aspect of the game, like I say,
Yeah.
but I do believe that my striking will I have a high level striking. I believe this, and I do believe that my striking will be very good.
And the UFC are starting to kind of showcase that they're here for the exciting fighters. They're not here for you to just go in there, get the win, and come out. You're certainly a very exciting fighter. You've only got two decisions out of your whole 10 wins. You don't like to go into the judges' scorecards. Do you feel like the UFC policy now of moving into that is how it should have been?
Yeah, I think it forced fighters, right, to get on the pedal and fight harder, maybe, because some fighters sometimes, yes, for sure, they just want to like
Yeah.
lay on you on the ground and win a decision, boring decision. They make their paycheck and they go up the rankings, but at the end of the day, it's an entertainment sport, right? And fans wants to be entertained. But for sure, we're not doing kickboxing, right? We're allowed to
Yeah.
go on the ground, and yes, sometimes on the ground you got to be careful because you don't want to get caught into a submission. And like I said, if you're really stronger than your opponent on the ground and you're able to dominate it, well, sometimes that's what it takes. But for sure, my goal is to be an exciting fighter, and I want to go out there and show that yes, they made the right choice to sign me, and that I can I can be exciting in the UFC too, and that's the goal, that's for sure. And I know what it's exciting with all the bonuses and everything. Like there's some good money that can be made, so for sure that's a plus on everything. So like I said, super excited and super pumped for next week.
And how do you kind of rate your division just now? Obviously, you've got the belt going to be on the line between Kamzat and Sean Strickland. You just had just recently your division was the main event when Joe versus Israel. How do you kind of rate the your division so far?
I think it's one of the toughest for sure. Guys are big, they're tall, they're strong, and they hit hard. They hit really hard. Guys are athletic, so I think it's one of the hardest divisions in the UFC for sure, 100%.
And what do you kind of make of the decision to give Strickland that title shot? Because it was kind of Imyov has been there. He's been getting the victories. He's just went in there against Chow and got the victory. And and what a great performance. How with your him, how do you kind of get back into that mind frame of I probably need to take another fight before I get that title shot?
You mean Imamov?
Yeah,
So, man, this guy is good. He's a killer. I think maybe he's gonna wait. Like he was really active, and he fought really high level competition. So for sure, I think he's next in line. Maybe he'll wait. Maybe UFC will give him another good fight. I think he got. I don't know. That's what he said, but I think he got compensated money wise. To step out and let Strickland fight. So maybe if the money's good, well, he's just gonna wait. I don't know if he's alternate, but for sure, it always depends on how healthy he is and what he wants to do. If he wants to be active or just sit on his number and wait for the title shot. Because for sure, I think he's next 100%. He knocked out Adesanya. He performed very well against Barallo
yeah.
in Paris. So I don't know, but at the end of the day, like, and Paris was what in September. So if he waits all summer, like because Kamzat will fight in May, then probably won't fight. So I don't know, like to fight for a title, to wait a year and fight for a title, like it's worth it. But I mean, if it's more than a year, maybe he should just stay active. But at the end of the day, I understand that he doesn't want to lose a spot. He's so close to the belt. It's a hard question to answer, but I think that he has a good team and he'll do what's best for him. But for sure, knowing that you're next in line for the belt, sometimes you're like, okay, I'll take the money. I'll wait a little bit and I'll just prepare harder and be ready for when it's my shot.
And also, one of the advantages of fighting in the UFC is the fact that they do a lot of global shows. They were just recently in England, they've done Paris, they did Dubai, they've done Rio, obviously Montreal. Is there any place that you are wanting to fight in?
I'd love to fight in Europe. I like Europe. I've went a lot of time, especially in Paris. I'd love to fight there. My mom lived in Paris for many years, so I've got a little bit of family there. So yeah, well, Paris would be an amazing place to fight. That's for sure. And I just Europeans like they like the fight. They like fight. I
Yeah.
think the energy there is amazing. The stadiums are big. So for sure, fighting in Europe would be one of on my to-do list. That's for sure. And also Vegas because I've never fought in Vegas, and to say that you fought in Vegas in your life, it's really amazing because that's the capital of fighting. But I'd say I would cheer to like I would love to go to Europe too to fight.
And just recently did you watch the Harry Hardwick fight from a few weeks ago?
The which one? Sorry.
Harry Hardwick.
I didn't watch it, but I saw that he broke his jaw. Yeah, I saw that
Yeah.
he broke his jaw. But yeah. I didn't watch it on live. Unfortunately, I was not available to watch it that night. But yeah, I saw it that he broke his jaw and had to stop. That's unfortunate, man, because this guy he's a tough fighter. He's a good fighter, and it's unfortunate for sure.
Now he has came out and said, obviously he did win the performance of the night, the 100K bonus. That kind of makes breaking the jaw kind of worth it. But if you are going through like the regional scene, just don't try to fight through that. Do you kind of see where he is coming from? The 100K is just a lot of money. Just put it all out there.
Yeah, because 100K can change your life for sure. It's not $1 million. You can
Yeah.
spend it really fast. But I mean, when you've been working hard for a lot of years to get there, and you make a fight of the night bonus, especially when you get your jaw broken, for sure. I think it must have helped, and it must be a little bit less painful to have your jaw broken with 100K plus in the bank because when you lose, you only make a couple $1,000 and you get your jaw broken. It's a little bit rougher for sure. So yes, I understand 100% what he says.
Now, going back to 2021, you just came out of a two-fight losing streak. Now, I saw in another interview that you did, you were saying that it was just you were your own worst enemy after that second fight. How hard is it when to be able to get yourself back into the gym and be able to get those kind of mistakes out of your game?
When you know that you could have won, it's like it's not that hard because you're like I know I could have won. Like
Yeah,
I just fought so bad, and I was just too much in my head. So it's like, okay, you want to get back into the gym and you want to just push and fight. But unfortunately, I had an injury, so I was out for like a years. All 2022, I was out. So at this point, I was not sure if I was gonna come back or no. But after, like I said, a couple months of rehab and everything after my injury, I was like, well, you know what? Like I live for this, so I need it. I really need it. So I did my comeback, and now I'm in the UFC. So it was the best decision of my life for sure to make that comeback in 2023.
And did you know straight after that second one, you were wanting to come back? There wasn't any doubt about it.
Yeah, like I've watched the fight the day after, and I was like, shit, I could have won. I wish I could take it back and
Yeah,
rewind the time and fight again. But as soon as yeah, I knew, but I knew I had to get surgery regardless because
yeah.
and like I mean this injury, I fought with a big injury, but this injury didn't bother me in the fight. That's not why I lost. But like before the fight, the doctors told me like you can fight, but you need to get surgery after. So I knew I had to go through surgery and do a big rehab and everything. So I was like, I wanted to like fight again right away, but I had to do the surgery unfortunately and step out of the game. But look, at the end of the day, like all this just made me realize a lot of things, and being out of fighting like for almost a year was like okay, made me really see what I really wanted in life. And what I wanted was to fight again and to show myself and show the people around me that I was still good, and I was able to perform, when it's time. So I think everything happens for a reason, and that's my journey. And everyone has their path, has their journey, and this is mine. So I'm happy for every step of it.
And how do you make all the Canadians currently in the UFC? You obviously have yourself. You then have Jasmine coming through the women's rankings. You've got Nalo who's making his debut. You've got the Jordians who's now coming in. You've got Mike Mallet. It just seems like in every weight class, there's just an upcoming contender ready to step in for that belt.
Yeah, I think Canadian has amazing fighters, and I think we always fight hard, and it's in their blood, and we're hard workers. So I think that, like I said earlier, there's even more and more Canadian that are coming to the
Yeah.
UFC, and the ones that are there right now, I think the Canadian fans are in for a treat next week because there's a lot of talent on that card, that's for sure.
And which fight currently that you've done would do you say was the hardest fight?
The hardest fight. Like it depends because I could say it was the one that I lost in Oklahoma against Joel Bowman because it was the hardest because I was fighting basically against myself. If not, I would say the Darian Weeks fight. Oh no, actually, you know what? No, the hardest fight I was my comeback fight in 2023. That was my hardest fight for sure, because after it was 2 years without fighting, like I said, 1 year of surgery rehab,
Yeah,
so 2 years without fighting, and when you think about it, I fought two times between 2019 and 2023. I fought two times before my comeback fight that I'm talking about, and it was two losses, surgery, rehab. So it was like a hard time in my life, and man, I was ready, but I was fighting a 6'7" guy. He was big guy, rest like judo guy,
yeah,
judo grappler. And I ended up like warming up, like because it was, like I said, 2 years without fighting. I was stressed. It was in my hometown. I sold so much ticket, like almost $100,000 in worth of tickets that night. It was in a new venue in my hometown, so it was the energy was amazing, but I was so stressed. So I ended up warming up in the back with Aaron Jeffrey, a friend of mine who was a fighter too, very good fighter, Canadian fighter. And I warm up so much, man. So when it was time and the fight, the card was so big. They packed up a big card. It was like right before the summer, so Samurai packed up a big card. I ended up fighting at 12:30 at night. And man, when I did my last like 30 second of pad before walking out, I was like, my shoulders were so heavy because I warmed up for like 4 hours. I was like, oh my God, what did I do? And now I gotta go fight this giant 6'7" guy. And we were wrestling all the time. All the
yeah.
freaking fight we were wrestling. So it was like super. I ended up winning 2 rounds to 1, unanimous decision, but it was very, very good. Judo black belt, I think jiu-jitsu brown belt. Anyways, but it was like the fight that got me like to really get deep, deep inside me. And like I was like, okay, everybody cheering for me, that helped for sure. But I was like, okay, I gotta dig in deep and I gotta like let's go. Because first 10 seconds of the fight, he took me down. I was like, no, not again. But boom, I rolled back up right away, and then I took him down, and then it was just a back and forth all rounds. And after 2 rounds, it was 1-1. We were both exhausted, and I knew like the beginning of the third round, he shot right away for a double leg, and I was defending, but he was close to get it. And I told myself, okay, if he gets you down, he's winning the fight. Like, and then I sprawled, lift him back up, took him down, took his back, and I ended up really dominating the third round and winning the fight. But it was a grueling and a hard like fight, like for cardio and endurance. So that was my hardest fight for sure. And then it was a good win after, because I worked hard for this win.
Yeah.
So after those years, after the years, after the losses, after the surgery, that was like probably my the win that tasted the better, even more than the belt, I could say.
And how good was it to be able to get that hand raised? Because also, like you're saying, you've been out for two years. You were going through that walkout, feeling how heavy you were. How good was it just to walk out there with that win?
Oh, it was amazing. Honestly, I like I said, it was a couple of years since 2018. I hadn't tasted
Yeah,
the win, so it was something really special. Something not actually, you know what? I think since 2017 I hadn't tasted the win, so almost 6 years. So 5 years and a half, I'd say. So yeah, it was something really special. When I got out the cage, and it was like wow, like this feeling, I forgot what this feeling was like. I forgot it before, like, and
yeah.
now I remembered, so it was like amazing. Yeah.
And how do you handle like the stress of fighting? 'Cause obviously, you can't prepare with sparring in the gym, but obviously that isn't like a fight night. You don't have someone staring down at you, looking to injure you get that arm lock, and you just how different is sparring in the gym to the real fight night?
Just got to remember, it's a human, it's a human. They all can get knocked out, they all can
Yeah,
get choked out. So that's what you got to remember, that we're all equal, and everybody can get knocked out. So this is what you got to remember. But for sure, it's the stress is higher than a sparring. But if you done everything you had to do in camp and you didn't cut the corners, you're ready, and you just got to believe in yourself, trust your gut, trust the process, and go out there and fight like you can, at the best of you can.
and when are you wanting to get back out there after this fight? As long as you go out there without any injuries and you're fully healthy, when are you wanting to get back in there?
Maybe if you go back to Paris in September, that would be great. I like honestly, like I won't, I won't be difficult. Like what UFC asks me, I'll do. So that's it. But I'm having like it's not a problem. But I mean, I'm having, I already have one son, and I'm having my second son, second boy, in June. So for sure, like I'm still
Yeah.
gonna train, but I mean, I think to fight it like at September would be probably the best of the best. So that way I can have my son, focus a little bit on my family for 2 3 weeks when he's born, and then just get back into the hard training and fight. But once again, UFC will decide for me.
Yeah.
I'm not here to make the choices. They're the boss, and I'm gonna listen to my boss. And regardless when is the date, I'll be ready. But I'm starting with my fight next week for sure.
And I cannot wait to see you get the victory. Is there anything you'd like to add or anyone you want to shout out?
Just want to shout out everyone that supports me, my sponsors, family, friends, everyone that ever bought tickets. Appreciate you all, and I want to shout out the UFC, my manager, my coaches, my teammates. Thank you for everything. Thanks to the UFC for giving me this opportunity, and I cannot wait for April 18th. Tune in, let's go.
Make sure you guys tune in on April the 18th and you can see Julien get that stoppage. And UFC, make sure you get him on that UFC Paris card. You know it will not be a fight night without Julien on the card. Thank you so much for coming on. Can't wait to see you get the victory.
Thanks to you, my friend. It was a pleasure anytime.